Yo, Lewis, what's going on?
Not much. Brad, I noticed you be posting pictures of your garden out there.
Okay.
Have it sauerkraut? No, excuse me.
What to say?
You you have it at your garden.
Tomatoes,
Tomatoes,
cucumbers. Yeah.
cucumbers. Why you grow tomatoes?
Because that's one of my favorite food. I actually made some fried green tomatoes today, but it's easy to throw on a salad. It's tomatoes are good for you. I can't just shoot off the benefits offhand, but
So you buy them out the store like that too?
normally, yeah, I will. That's why when it's growing season, I try to grow a lot of them.
No, okay. What's the difference between the difference between the ones you grow, the ones you buy at the store?
I don't know. Of course, when people grow stuff, they think their stuff tastes better or
Well,
tastes
I
fresher.
asking you.
Well,
What's the
I'm about
difference?
to get there because I gotta preface my comments. To me, it does taste fresher. It tastes crisp. The tomatoes that I grow, you notice they don't last as long. If I get some store-bought tomatoes, they almost last forever. It seems they don't ever go bad. That's just because they don't have the preservatives sprayed on them, other chemicals. But
Allegedly, how you know about that?
how do I know about what they put on tomatoes?
Preservatives sprayed on. You don't read no books.
You're right, I don't, but I go off of experience. If I grow tomatoes and I pick them, as soon as I pick them, they start to go bad on me. Or what? Even if you leave them on the plant too long, they'll start to go bad.
This Friday, while I was in my leisure time, people, I came across a YouTube and they started talking about tomatoes and
Okay.
the tasteless tomatoes, the kind of bread it grows in his backyard. Tasteless.
So is it tasteless?
Huh?
Okay. All right, go ahead. I'm following. I'm
Now,
almost
Brandon,
with you. I'm almost on board
Brandon, you
because
don't grow no tasteless in
I
your
don't grow no
backyard.
tasteless tomatoes, but they do taste different from the ones in the store. And I'm trying to look for the words to describe it. So I'm gonna follow what they say is tasteless and try to figure out what's
Well,
going on.
see, Brandon's his tastes like must.
And why is that? Because there's stuff in the backyard.
That
What?
tomato must taste. That's what he tasted. And
Well,
that's a rare taste.
okay.
At the stores, they just taste like water is saline or something. That's my experience. A tomato tastes like a tomato. It had a little musty odor to it.
Organic, so a quote unquote organic one that can grow in the garden has a must taste. That's what you're saying.
No, you ever went to the store and smelled tomatoes? You ever smelled
I
tomatoes,
smell
Brandon?
better store bought ones. Yeah, they smell like plastic. They just it's not. I don't know. It don't give me that. They just was grown
How
outside.
the ones smell it at your house, Brandon? And take that light off your head.
Wow, they taste wild. You get what I'm saying?
That tastes wild. That's must. I said must, ain't it? Now you okay with saying the same thing.
But I wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't say it's must, but I like it's just a wild. It was a wilder experience. But go ahead. I want to
Okay,
watch the
before
video.
we
See what
start
they
this
say.
video, what Brandon don't know, when you catch a wild animal, if a person describe the taste, they compare a wild pig to a wild boar, they say one is more musky. And that'd be the
I get what
wild
you're
one.
saying. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
It's one of the fruits that has seen the largest drop in nutrients, a quarter of its calcium and more than half of its vitamins. In order to understand this decline, we must trace fruits and vegetables back to their origin. Before the fruit even grows, the seed determines everything. Tomato farmers choose their seeds from these brochures. They are published by manufacturers such as Syngenta, Vilmorin, or Close. To attract farmers, they mention their size, shape, color, and, in particular, their productivity.
Now you can stop it anytime you want to, all right, Brandon?
Yeah. So this is all making sense.
This all making sense?
It's all making sense. How do you feel about this? This is, like I say, I'm growing the same fake tomatoes. This is a fake tomato to me. This is like lab engineered version 346 tomato that we eating in the store. How you feel about that?
Brandon, they didn't say nothing. Only thing they said is the growers go to the man to buy the product. Now we know the man sell the product for a profit, so he's looking by any means necessary to make a profit off those seeds.
Yeah.
So he said they grow by shape, they go by yield, they go by they advertise all the good stuff, so your farmers can buy these certain type of seeds.
Yeah.
But most importantly are the letters HF1, which signifies a first-generation hybrid. And that's how we get a hybrid. For example, let's take a plant that grows large but very pale tomatoes. We cross them with a plant whose tomatoes are red but too small. By combining these two varieties, we create what is called a hybrid, a plant that possesses both the genes of a large tomato and a bright red tomato.
Now, what you got in your garden, Brandon? Hybrids?
I've got a bunch of hybrids, but like I say, that's mainly what's out there now. It's all hybrid stuff. Even if I'm, like I say, if I'm growing it organically, it's still a hybrid.
So you got the one tomato with the small eye.
Right. Because we want the tomatoes to be so perfect. We want them to perform fast and hold and be in great size. So they do all these engineering things with the genes. So now, like I said, we got mutant hybrid tomatoes.
No, these ain't mutant quite yet, people. They just have one plant busted on another plant in a control manner.
And is it grafting? Because I know people graft different fruit trees and stuff like that. Is it similar to that?
No, grafting is you got a completely different plant and you putting a branch to grow another plant from a completely different plant. Nah, it's not that. This is cross-pollination.
Okay.
And for example, with grafting, people, every apple you eat is the exact same apple because they graft all the apple plants.
So what do you mean?
If they didn't grapple, that every apple would taste different. So your grannies would taste like some panties. It tastes like she on the rag. It tastes like she got diabetes. But if you graft it, you could get the same flavor out of each apple.
Yeah.
I learned that last year.
Okay.
For 50 years, scientists from all over the world have been developing these hybridizations to create tomatoes that can withstand all sorts of bumps and bruises. You've heard of crash tests on cars. Here are crash test tomatoes. During the 1980s, these laboratory tomatoes flooded the market. But there is still one problem that no one has managed to work out. Tomatoes spoil very quickly. Until the day scientists invent the eternal tomato.
Now, Brandon, you said, and your dog said it too, that your tomatoes that you grow in your house decay very quickly.
Now, I guess you're right.
Compare it to the store-bought.
Go ahead, I'm listening. Go ahead.
All right. He ain't listening to all this because he
I am listening. I'm trying to mute the dogs out, but I'm just saying.
Playing. Just let the dogs bark.
Was it my daughter's? Go ahead.
This miraculous tomato has been created in Israel. For 70 years, this country has revolutionized the farming industry. It has managed to grow fruit and vegetables in the middle of the desert.
Now, tell me this, people. If you're growing vegetables or fruits in the desert,
where it's not supposed to be, but go ahead.
Not supposed to be. What's in the food?
What you mean? What's in the food? What's in the fertilizer type? That's the plant food. What's in the plant food? Is that what you're saying,
Brother? If you got death outside and you growing some of the best tomatoes in the world, and tomatoes need a lot of water. How are you designing these fruits? That's all I got to say.
Yeah, you designing them, and in my opinion, like you're engineering them to be able to grow in environments that they're foreign to. It's like you using a cheat code, or like the Game Shark back in the day. You coding the tomatoes to do what you want them to do in whatever environment they are in.
And Israel has to grow tomatoes like this because they surrounded by everybody who hate their guts.
So they can't do business with other countries, or
they only do one, the United States. Hey, watch this. Hey, we got some intel. They got some nuclear plants down at the bottom. How much it costs to drop these bombs on their ass? This is America doing right now, Brandon.
Correct.
You're paying us to do the dirty work.
Yeah, for sure.
The Europeans had a problem with Yemen shooting at the damn cargo ships. All right. They didn't have no planes to get up in the air because they was giving all the planes to Ukraine. They called President Trump up. Hey, man, we got some guys in Yemen. They keep robbing all the boats. What the U.S. do, Brady?
Did they help him out? No.
Yeah, they helped him out.
How?
First,
Go
at least the plans do a Snapchat. All right. All right. After the plans was leased via Snapchat, they bombed the shit out of the Yemen guys to free up the shipway.
Okay.
See,
So go ahead.
Y'all didn't know that? The reason that people got bombed because they was harassing commerce.
They were interfering with people making money. Is that what you're trying to say?
Interfering with people making money. And the Europeans beg America to drop the bombs over there.
And why do we feel like we need to get into that? And the other thing with Iran?
I can't tell you, but if I can speculate, you wash my back, I'll wash your back. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
We met one of the fathers of the modern tomato at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, the man who made this fruit practically immortal.
Good morning.
Morning.
Nice to see you.
Yes.
Hi. Good morning.
Haim Raminovich.
We go straight to the farm.
Yes.
At 79 years old, Professor Rabinovich continues to develop future hybrids.
This is a breeding greenhouse, so each plant is different. And I say, this plant, it looks stronger than this one, for instance, and definitely more than this one. We look for these differences in order to develop something which is better than the existing material.
The best tomatoes are those that are well adapted for commercial production, because although the researcher and his assistant may well be university lecturers, they also work for private corporations. Their research is currently funded by French seed company Vilmorin.
It's owned by them. I cannot give it to anybody else. This is it.
See, the scientists work for the man. Y'all didn't know that?
Right. Yeah.
The nuclear bomb. Isaac was the genius. Isaac was a genius, man. Isaac Newton. No, what was the genius name?
Einstein.
Einstein. They hired the U.S. government hired his ass along with some other people, black people included too. Hired him. Man, we need to create a weapon that we drop this thing, it'll shake up the world.
Right.
The scientists create the weapon, thought they was doing something probably to create some energy for the whole world for free. Turns out, we need the heat. We need the heat to just be. It creates a chain reaction so big, nobody want to mess with us.
Gotcha.
And look at these scientists doing here. They scientists, brother. You need some tomatoes. What did they go say? What kind of tomatoes they need, Brandon? If you was a business, what kind of tomatoes you need?
I need tomatoes that's going to last a long time. They're going to get big quick.
All right.
You know. Let's say they're going to taste the right way that we need them. We don't want bitter tasting tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
And one of the biggest things is, how something looks, like the appearance of the tomatoes. If you want tomatoes to look round and you want them to be perfect, you don't want odd shaped tomatoes. It just doesn't look appealing to Americans, for instance.
All right.
Exclusive to them.
You're the only one that got into this greenhouse. Besides you, no one can get here.
They need to develop a tomato for southern European countries.
Here there is a big one. Look, Vilmorin are looking to have a winning hybrid in the Balkan market, which have a fruit size around 300 grams.
Tomatoes as big as grapefruits that must grow on horizontal vines.
This is the cluster, which the flower are organized.
Usually the cluster has 3 dimensions. The fruit grows in every possible direction. People like today what we call a fishbone cluster. From packing point of view, if you have 3 dimensions, it's very difficult to pack in a box. When you have a 2 dimension, you can put one on top of the other, and it's much easier.
To create this hybrid, they have to cross 2 plants by placing pollen from one plant onto the flower of another.
Here's the way you extract pollen.
You need to come to the open flower.
This is what we call artificial bee. Actually, you know what? It's an electric toothbrush. So we just remove the brown and put a hook on top of it. You can see at the bottom, you can see yellow dust.
And in 2 days, I will come with the pollen and I will make the pollination.
We'll pause it real quick.
How
you
many
think
crossings you make
this
for
is
to have
necessary?
one?
You think this stuff is necessary? I think it clearly is because it's a market for it and it's a competitive market, clearly. because they want to have people out here trying to make better plants all the time, year after year. But do you think this is necessary?
Yes, he said they have a market that's ready for these tomatoes in Eastern Europe, and they just need the proper tomatoes to grow over there so they can sell that. So yes, they got to flood the market with these tomatoes. So it is necessary. If it wasn't necessary, only people do things that necessary is man of the metaverse right now. This channel, we ain't making no money, but we still doing it. So it ain't necessary. We still doing it, but they got to do it because it's a goal at the end.
But what is the goal? And do you think, are they doing anything to harm us by keep innovating the plant?
Brandon, they just using the human ability to domesticate animals and plants.
Okay, as long as they're not doing anything that's going to harm us, that's the only thing I'd be worried about. Because, like I say, seeds, tomato seeds, we get them from the government in a way because they have control of what's the biggest grower now. Like all those seeds, it's all controlled. Like I say, they give it to the farmers give us what they give us, but all that's controlled by the government in a way. We can't get the old seeds like back years and years ago because they've already manipulated the seeds and stuff to what we have today.
Brandon, why would you want those old seeds? And with these new seeds, you could get 100 tomatoes. With the old ones, you could get 40. So why would you want those?
From a business standpoint, I get what they're saying, but as long as it's safe and they're not doing anything that's going to harm us. Like I said, I'm not familiar with the process at all. So that's why I'm glad we're watching this video so I can learn more about it, because like I said, I'm skeptical from if I got a plant that's going to give me 40 tomatoes, but it's a better plant that's going to give me 140 tomatoes, I'm going to want to go with the one that's going to yield more tomatoes. But as long as both of them are safe, I'm okay.
It's always a drawback. People, anything you think you have an advantage of the other side comes with negative drawbacks. And we're going to speak on that on this episode.
At the end.
To make a commercial hybrid, probably 400.
400 like that?
400 every year. Sometimes it's coming only from the third year. So you can go to huge numbers.
That is how, after thousands of cross-pollinations in the early 1990s, Chaim Rabinovich and his colleagues invented the eternal tomato. This innovation has transformed the world market.
Why you begin to work on the long shelf life?
Because of this waste of 40% of the yield. Before this mutation, the limit was 2-3 days, 4 days at the most. When we exported tomatoes to Europe, and we exported a lot of tomatoes.
So you got to remember the word, Brandon, this is in your mind. He said mutation, all right?
Yeah.
Just get that.
We used to fly it by airplanes, because if it has to go by boat from Israel to Marseille, the tomato will be mushy. Nobody will touch it.
To extend its shelf life, the professor had to defy the laws of nature.
The purpose of this tomato is to disseminate the seed for next generation. So the moment the seeds are ripe, it will fall off the bush, bump into the ground, explode, and all this juice will run all over as far away from the mother plant as possible in order to conquer more territory. We don't want it. It's undesired trait for human beings. And here we have a mutation that seemingly can provide a solution.
What's the M word, Brandon? He just said
mutation.
Okay.
Here is the Israeli researchers' idea. They have cross-pollinated a plant with regular tomatoes that decay within 3 days, with a plant carrying a natural genetic defect that prevents the ripening of the fruit. They have thus ended up with a long-lasting hybrid tomato that, once picked, will decay much slower.
And that's why I call it a retarded. See, Brandon, now it's a couple ways you could do it. He, as a scientist, he said, wow, this mutated plant has a positive effect that we want.
Yeah.
And he ran with it.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, for everything positive is a negative. What you think in your imagination? What could be a negative part of a mutation plant, Brandon?
I don't know. Like, one of the things I worry about, I'm not saying this is what it is, but it could cause cancer. It can like mess up your body, that's one of the things I go with. I don't see a negative with this. That's what I'm trying to figure out where we're going with.
Wait, hold on. What you said you don't see a negative? Brent, you all right? Brent, you just named 3 negatives. Did you say you don't see a negative?
The way he's doing it, it seems like it should be a natural way, right? They're just doing They're not, as he's saying mutation, but I don't see any mutation. I don't see any engineering. I just see a natural progression of a gardener manipulating a plant to yield more stuff.
Brandon, okay. All right, Brandon. If you got an antelope, a baby antelope born with a mutation, 3 legs.
Okay.
How long the antelope go last?
Not long.
All right. You got a lion born with a mutation, no teeth. How long would that lion gonna last?
Not too long.
Is that lion or antelope meant to be at the top of the top, survival of the fittest?
The lion, yeah. And
With no
I guess
teeth?
no, not with no teeth.
Okay, how about
But it
the
didn't start
antelope?
out that way. Yeah, go ahead.
How about the antelope with 3 legs?
No, it wasn't supposed to.
So they don't supposed to be the top of their game.
No. Not if they were coming out that way.
All right, so what the scientist done with this mutation, he took a retarded plant that don't supposed to exist. It's supposed to die pretty quick. Now one plant grows and dies, and that's it.
Yeah.
He said, nah, we're gonna reproduce this over and over again.
Yeah.
And now everybody gonna have this mutated plant.
Yeah.
That's why I think the negative comes into play. The word mutation. Mutation is negative, people.
Yeah.
A cancer.
When you're eating it and putting it in your body, you don't necessarily want to have mutated stuff or all these chemicals in our body over and over every day.
Correct. I'm not a scientist, but they say cancer is when the cell mutates. See, y'all didn't get that mutation. Y'all didn't link the two, but
that's exactly what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about these these tomatoes that they can just produce all these different tomatoes. They last longer. Go ahead.
Let's stretch it, Brandon. You got hybrids that you could cross pollinate. Man be doing that for
which is fine.
Thousands of years.
Right.
That's called what I said earlier. That's called domesticating. Or you could get what man said, oh, this is a retarded plant. but I like that one part of it. Yeah. So I'm going to reproduce this retardedness in all the plants. That's how I see it. So hybrid, I don't have no issue with hybrids if it's done the correct way.
Yeah. Our own homegrown experiment. On one side, we have a hybrid fruit with a perfect appearance. On the other side, an heirloom tomato that has not undergone any hybridization, with its speckled yellow skin and other small imperfections. Now, all we have to do is wait. After 3 days, the 2 tomatoes still look completely fine. But after a week, the heirloom tomato is no longer fit for sale because of these little black marks. Within 2 weeks, it even starts to go moldy. And what about the hybrid? Unaffected. In 2 weeks, it has not changed at all. Except for one thing, the stem comes off. It was only after day 25 that the hybrid became unsellable, now with mold and softer skin.
That's a whole month.
Without hybridization, it would have looked like this. Its shelf life has therefore gone from 3 days to almost 3 weeks. But just like any deal for eternal youth, there is a price to pay.
You can taste them.
Tasteless. The genes for inhibition, ripening inhibition.
Wait, which one did he say was tasteless? He said the hybrid was tasteless?
Yeah. Of course it'll be tasteless.
And he thinks that's a good thing, though? That's what their goal is?
Brandon, you talking confused on here.
I am, because I don't get what they're trying to do.
The goal is to make money. Who gives a about taste when you can
I do. I love tomatoes.
So you do.
I'm a consumer, right?
You don't make no difference to your band together.
So you're saying people don't really care as long as it looks good and they know they got a tomato. It's not necessarily, most people don't really eat tomatoes by themselves. So they put it on a burger or they put it on a salad. So
we don't eat tomatoes by themselves because they went tasteless.
I do know. I do. I'll slice up tomato, put some salt and pepper on it, and I'll eat them just like that. I just like tomatoes that much.
store-bought tomatoes.
I won't necessarily do it with store-bought that much.
That's what I'm trying to say, Brandon.
Okay, but go ahead. But that's not what you want.
Brandon, are you feeling good today?
I'm feeling great. Why? If he's not, is he a professor? He studied at the University of Jerusalem. They can't put no flavor in these tomatoes. They can do all this stuff. They can't make them. They can't do that. Put a little bit of flavor in his tomatoes.
Let's watch. I'm trying to explain to Brandon. I don't know. He must be on some drugs or something.
I told you I got a bad headache today. But I love tomatoes but go ahead. I'll let you finish. Let's get to the end.
With everything, you got positive and negatives, Brandon. Brandon's only one all the
what's wrong with that?
Life don't work that way, Brandon.
It doesn't.
All right. All the women talk about they want to get thick. They gain in weight. The positive, they attract more attention. The negatives, they attract more cholesterol. You see what I'm saying?
And they attract more attention. I think they don't necessarily like that either, but that's a part of it. But go ahead.
They like it, Brandon. They like it. But again, it's always two ends to the stick. Brandon's want one end.
If we doing all this research, come on now. So let me ask you this real quick. So if you had to choose, you want your tomato to have a little bit more flavor, or you want a little bad spot on it? Would you want your tomato to have a bad spot on it?
See, here's the thing. You can have both, Brandon, but here's the thing: price. So if the tomatoes will only last 25%, 5%, only last a tenth of the time, they need to cost 90% more. So
I get what you're saying.
I can get the spotted tomatoes for instead of paying $1.99 a pound, I'm paying $9.99 a pound.
It depends on where you at in life or your purpose. Like somebody may want the cheap, flavorless tomatoes or the expensive gourmet tomatoes. It depends on what you're trying to do. But go ahead.
It depends on the market. The market said, I want something that look like tomato. I don't care if the taste, but the price and the quality got to be there. And we can give on the taste because we're going to cover that up anyway.
That's crazy.
That's what the market says. That's what Brandon wants.
What do I want? A tasteless tomato that looks good.
Cheap.
It tastes like water.
Tomatoes. And you say you buy them at the store all the time. And everyone
because I don't have no choice.
And you still buy them.
Yeah. But if I know somebody's doing some research and they putting time and energy in there, he don't care about that kind of stuff. Brandon, is it too expensive? Huh?
Brandon missed the whole thing. He works for a private organization that pays him. He said, even though I'm a scientist, I got to do what they want me to do.
No, you're right.
Even though I'm Einstein said we're going to generate free electricity for everybody in the world, we're going to turn that shit into a bomb. And that's what they do.
Yeah. But for another example, if you want to do what you want to do at your job, can you do it? They pay you to do a certain thing. You can't just freelance and do the stuff you want to do.
Correct. I can't do that. Not. Yeah, I can't do that. Yeah, I gotta do what the person telling me. They paying the money, they rules. Don't be like that in your household because you'll be a bad man. But
what you mean? Go ahead. What you mean?
You know how some guys do. I pay the money, they rules. They rules, I do what they rules.
I got you.
But just like any deal for eternal youth, there is a price to pay.
You can taste them.
Now, brother, listen.
I'm about to get mad, but go ahead.
He said that Brother wasn't clicking. That's why I think he must have had it coming in. He said for the longevity, there's a drawback. He's about to explain it, and Brandon won't accept it because he's
I know. Okay, let me switch up real quick. So if they made a honey bun, if honey buns didn't last long, but we got the honey bun, it's in a pack, and when you bite into it, it don't
like
taste
sex, sunshine. Huh?
Yeah, but if it's the opposite and it's flavorless or if it's tasteless, it's not the same. But if like I said, if the market is okay with it, people are okay with it, they don't care. That's what they're gonna give us.
Imagine making a fresh baked all butter, using ghee, using tallow, fresh honey.
That's how I know Lewis know about food and cooking. But go ahead.
No, to make a pastry. And diced it with glaze and honey and powdered sugar.
Yeah.
It's only good for 2 days.
Yeah.
That 100 butter costs $15, Brandon. Can Keisha on her periods afford that, Brandon?
No, they can't.
Or they can afford the $3.
With a pack of 12.
A pack of 12. And when that get old, it get hard like a rock. And
we'll still eat it.
It won't mold. It will never mold. Which one the consumer can afford, Brandon?
The one that won't mold. You can leave it out forever. It'll still look the same.
And it can last a week. It'll be good edible for a week.
Yeah.
Or you can have the best of the best. It lasts 2 days max.
Yeah.
It costs 10 times more.
And I got you.
But just like any deal for eternal youth, there is a price to pay.
Can taste them.
Tasteless. The genes for inhibition, ripening inhibition, carry with them some negative traits. For instance, flavor. The taste deteriorates.
And very well, less nutrient, but
I don't know because we never measured it. Only later in the 90s. And
see, and this is what companies do. He's a scientist.
Right.
They said, the tomatoes you putting together do not measure the nutritious value. Don't want to know that information.
We don't want to know how big the flavor thing is, the metrics on that. We don't care. Just do what we ask you to do.
He know about the flavor. He said to make them last longer, the flavor will go down. And they say do that. But don't worry about the nutritious values of it. Even though you know it's a test you can run, but they don't want you to run the test.
Yeah, don't run any of that kind of stuff.
That's called probability. You won't get no probable cause or no loose negligence on your side. You don't know nothing. If you don't know you got mold, you don't know you got mold or lead in the house to your chessboard.
Right. Now
You
might be sick.
No, we test for the mold. You want to test for lead? No, we test for the lead.
Because then you have to do something.
Then you got to expose that information. You may not have to do nothing, but you got to expose
You
it.
should, but yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s, we started looking into the quality traits. I offered a project like that to many seed companies. I even gave it a name. I called it ACE tomato. Why ACE? Vitamin A, C, and E. And I said it would be much healthier tomato.
They said they don't want it.
And they don't want that.
Tomato is one of the fruits.
And they don't want that.
But I get it. What you about to say?
What you about to say?
But I get it. But it does make sense. At least I know in his heart of hearts, he does actually want to make a better product. But he knows that's not
up a little bit, Brandon.
He knows that's not
just down.
He knows that's not. I know. See, I'm trying to figure out. You know, my head hurt. My equilibrium is off.
Brandon, I ain't lying to you, Brandon. Your thinking is different today, Brandon.
My
Don't be
head
around.
my head hurts so
Don't
bad.
be around no firearms and no high emotions.
I tell you, my head is hurt so bad today.
I like Brandon thinking. Brandon comprehension skills.
No, I get it. I'm just upset just because. Go ahead.
You don't get it on my side, Brandon. You drop about 30%. You about 30% dumber today.
I get what you're saying, and it's the same thing with the hot dog thing. How you say, Brandon, just get a person their money back. I get what you're saying though, but I think it's make for a better show if we argue the opposites more and we do that more. That's what I was thinking the other day. But no, I'm definitely off today. My head, I ain't gonna say I got a tumor now, but my head is booming right now. I'm just glad I showed up. Like I said, I was getting ready to cancel. You done? Let me do one thing I was going to do.
I'm fine. Brent,
Brent
about 30% less slick or what you call where were that?
I couldn't even line myself up with the camera just now. But hold on, let me get this. Oh,